today's cricket, Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma, when they were kids. The big shots then, Sachin Tendulkar, Saurabh Ganguly, VVS Lakshman, MS Dhoni, they didn't go on a tour to Zimbabwe. And they sent the kids. They sent Kohli, who played his first T20 game there. Rohit made his first ODI 100 there. The only newspaper to send a reporter was mine, was the Indian Express, and they decided to send a kid too. I was their age. I mean, I'm the same age as Virat and Rohit. So then I went there, which was lovely because I got to write cricket and I also got to write about travel. I got to write about Mugabe's Zimbabwe, which was going through a very volatile time at that point, like super hyperinflation. I think $1 billion Zimbabwean dollars could buy like a loaf of bread. Right, the country was in absolute disarray. So instead of just writing cricket, I was also writing about Zimbabwe for my newspaper, and that's when I think we all realized that I like to do more than just sports, which is pretty much what a product of these two loves this book is. It's not just cricket; it's also travel, as you know, Mr. King.
Yeah. In continuation of our discussion with regard to your travels and your like for all these games, because we have come to know that you not only follow cricket, you don't only write about the game of cricket, but you've covered football World Cups, Grand Slam tennis tournaments. So you have been, covering a lot of top events and most followed sports across the globe. So how do you find amongst these three games, cricket, football, and tennis, which really excites you?
Well, I'm personally a tennis fan. I love the era of Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal. If anyone can see my T-shirt, it's basically a Nadal T-shirt. That's what I wear all the time. Big tennis fan. But the thing is, in India, cricket is so big. So if you want to be a journalist who's sent around the world, unfortunately or fortunately, you have to cover cricket. And there are, of course, just the way there are a lot of people who want to get inside cricket stadiums and watch cricket, there are lots of journalists who are vying for the top spots in reporting also. They are the ones who want to be sent to Australia or New Zealand or the West Indies or England, wherever cricket is played. And to get there, you need to be able to write well or report well or whatever, right? So when they started sending me around, pretty early, I got lucky maybe, early in my life, I used the platform to cover other sports that I like. I was like, my life is not just about writing cricket. I get bored of things very quickly, but I fell in love with the written word. I mean, there's something beautiful about putting one word after another, constructing a nice sentence and then a nice paragraph and a nice article. So I started using that to write about football. They sent me to Brazil to cover the 2014 FIFA World Cup, which was great because, the passion over there for football, in Brazil particularly, is very similar to the passion that us Indians have for cricket. Which is what, again, this book is about. It's the love. It's what makes cricket in India, right? Like, there are lots of countries that play cricket. At least 15 countries that play it pretty well. But why do we stand out? Because we have mad, passionate fans who have made this sport what it is. Football is actually the global sport. It's the one that's loved all over the world. But it's not given the same respect here in India because the masses,
if not noticed,
the Northeast for sure. I mean, the good old hubs like Kerala, West Bengal, the Northeast, 100%. Right? They give that beautiful sport. You guys give the beautiful sport the love it deserves. But the masses in India, at least like central and northern and western India, are in love with this sport, and I think they are the guys who make the Virats and the Rohits and the Sachins the superstars that they are, because the Baichungs and the Chetris are actually just as great, if not greater, the Leander Paces and the Mahesh Bhupatis of the world, right? They're just as good. But why aren't they as big as the cricketers? Because the money is here, because the fans are here. And I thought, why not train the lens towards the fans and see what they go through all over this country as this circus moves from town to town, right? This is about the 2023 World Cup. which I thought was a great opportunity to use cricket as a vehicle to tell the story of this country, which is actually many countries in one, right? I mean, Bombay is so different from Chennai, which is so different from Dimapur, which is so different from Dimapur is so different from Kohima, and you guys are so different from Aizawl. What connects all of us? What connects the Kashmiri to a person from Kohima, to a person from Kanyakumari, to a person from Ahmedabad? I'm going to all corners and Central and Bhopal. You put them in a room, they look like people, 5 people from 5 different countries, right? And we very well might be from 5 different countries. There are lots of things that connect us. I mean, Bollywood does, food does. I mean, it's fantastic. Naga food is real. I'm not saying this because I'm here. It's one of my all-time favorites. Even in Delhi, I go to Humayunpur and eat a deer Naga all the time. I mean, I love it. Like, I absolutely love it. But food, Bollywood, all of it gets a bit regional, right? Like, it belongs, as beautiful as it is, it belongs to a certain place. Cricket is one of the very few unifying factors. So I thought, why not use that as the tool, as the vehicle to tell a story of a country. As Rohit Sharma's team travels, I travel behind them, and I go from place to place, from very hot Chennai to very cold Dharamshala, and turn the lens onto the fans, people like these kids over here, right? What are they going through? What does one match day -1 look like? What is that mentality like? What is Rohit Sharma thinking at the same time, looking at these people, right? Is he feeling the pressure? Then the match itself. And I also thought, if I get somebody from each city who is kind of on the periphery of cricket, like a super fan, like that. Have you guys seen that body painted fan? The tri-colored fellows waving the flag and blowing the conch everywhere. Cricket doesn't need him. Cricket can do without this guy. But this guy needs cricket, right? Like, he cannot do without cricket. So can I find a person like that in each of the states, each of the places that I go through, who can tell me a story of the land and cricket? How cricket happened to them, or the place, how it shaped them. And I thought, if that happens, I'll strike gold. And I managed to catch quite a few of those fellows, as you've read. I know the students haven't read this book yet. It's in the library, guys. If anybody wants to read it, you can pick it up from there. And there are some outside too. But like that yellow painted Dhoni fan.
CSK Dhoni fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now, let's get to your book. Why did you, name your book Gully Gully?
Yeah, it's an interesting name. So I wanted the title of the book to be representative of the idea, which is cricket and travel. Gully is, of course, a fielding position in cricket. Are there a few cricket fans here? Are you guys cricket fans, or mixed bag? Can you raise your hands, the ones who follow cricket here? One. Oh, okay. So real minority in this list. You guys don't watch when the team's playing, like when the Indian team's playing? It's okay. No one's judging you. It's absolutely fine. I'm so glad that I'm in a room full of non-cricket fans. So no, is the answer no? Can you raise your hands if you don't watch cricket? Let me see how many hands come up now. Oh, this is lovely. I love it.
You seems to have a bigger opportunity now.
Yeah, exactly. Because, cricket is just an excuse, as I kept telling you guys, to tell the story of a country. You can use whatever tools you want when you're writing or you're making a movie or whatever you're interested in, right? Like, cricket happened to be the tool because this is beautiful to see, because it unifies parts of our countries, parts of our country at least. But the rest of you, are you interested in travel? Are you interested in seeing what's out there in the big wide world? Can you raise your hands? Nice, cool, okay. So that's what this book is about. It's about telling the story of travel through cricket. The genre is cricket travelogue. So Gully, for all of those of you who are not into cricket, is a fielding position in cricket. It's next to the slip cotton on the offside. And gully is also, of course, another way of saying street all over India, right? So it connects cricket and travel. And also in Hindi, the phrase is "Gully Gully mein dot dot dot." You can put whatever you want after the dots. It's usually "Gully Gully mein shor hai" or "Gully Gully mein ye ho raha hai." So I thought it's representative of cricket, travel, and very much India, right? So hence the title.
All right. I've not completely read through your books, but I've covered some chapters. Very interestingly, you have named your chapters not as per the cities where the World Cup matches were hosted, but to do with the city, the characteristics of the city and its people. Accordingly, you have named it. If at all a World Cup match was being hosted here in Nagaland, what would you call the chapter?
Oh, wow, really interesting question. Can I give you an answer by the end of it? I'll think this one through. See, again, for example, the Delhi chapter is called Refugee Country, right? Because when partition happened and the very, very bloody partition in 47, where the Punjabis from what is now Pakistan were coming to Delhi, Delhi was actually a tiny little place that once belonged to the Mughals and then the British. And when the British left, it became overwhelmingly, gregariously Punjabi, right? Because the Punjabis who were displaced from what is now Pakistan, who had come to Delhi, needed refuge, they needed shelter. So the city expanded by 95%. The Delhi that we know today, the national capital, was actually this tiny little place which we now call Lutyens Delhi. Nothing else existed. So it expanded massively, and one of the expansions, the big expansions, happened in the west of Delhi, where Virat Kohli grew up, right? And he's from a refugee colony. And also India happened to play Afghanistan in Delhi. So a lot of these reasons made me choose the chapter title as Refugee Country, because Lajpat Nagar, which is in Delhi, also hosts the refugee Afghans. So it had a lot to do with many things coming together. So if the match was hosted in Nagaland, it will also depend on who they were playing against and what kind of locals I meet. And apart from just the food, what else I understand about this place apart from just the obvious ones of hornbills and beautiful nature and festivals and food. Can I get a little deeper? So, as I did with Delhi, right? So, it depends.
Okay, great. Next up, you see, now in this hall, there's only one student who really follows cricket.
Can you raise your hand again? Where's the cricket following student here? Sorry to put you on the spot, my friend. Okay, fine. But good on you, and good on the rest of you also. Yeah. Nice.
Nonetheless, you see, cricket itself, not just as a sport, but as an industry, because of course, both of us love cricket. I think both of us grew up playing cricket. But at the end of the day, both of us, our professions are different, but we still love cricket. Yeah. So not only as a cricketer, as your profession, but cricket as an industry and as a sport. What can it offer to those, students like here? Once they graduate, once they, go out of the university, some students might want to sit for the exams. Some students might take up journalism. Some might, take up other sports interest related courses and all. But since you have traveled with the Indian team, you've been following the game and more so the recent 2023 World Cup. What has this game called cricket got to offer other than, okay, let me put it simple, off the field?
Yeah, as I say, even in the book, like in each chapter, there are basically people who have made a living out of cricket, who are the not so obvious ones. I mean, they're not the players who are playing in the Indian team, they're not the manager of the Indian team, they're not in the core circle, right? Like, they're just outside. But the game itself is so vast and it's got so much money in it. There are a lot of people, including us journalists, make money off this sport, right? Like I said right in the beginning, when I became a cricket journalist, I knew that is kind of my path to the top. And then maybe I can use it to write about football, the other things that I love, like tennis. So cricket as a sport itself has a lot to offer. I mean, there's this lady called Mayanti Langer who I write about in the Bangalore chapter, and she hated cricket. I don't know if hate is the right word here, but she absolutely wasn't interested in cricket. She was a football girl, and all she wanted to do was go to countries around this world. And
but because of cricket, she had the opportunity to visit Netherlands.
Oh, she did. That's right. Oh, yeah, because her husband's tour, Benny played for
Benny
Netherlands.
was here, yeah.
That's right. But Mayanti, for example, just really wanted to cover football World Cups, and she got so good at what she was doing that this bigger planet of cricket in India at least dragged her in, and she went kicking and screaming. She did not like cricket initially, but now she's the face of cricket broadcast in this country, right? So you never know. I mean, as long as you follow your passion, and if your passion is anything around journalism, which could entail writing, speaking, broadcast, radio, podcasts. There are just so many options these days. Cricket's a big calling. It's like the big mothership, right? Like you can, whether you're interested in it or not at this point, it can still draw you in.
Yeah, okay. So of all the 11 chapters in your book, just one chapter. Just share the best experience that you had in all these 11 cities.
I mean, I clearly enjoyed the experience in all the cities, which is why I put them down. But Chennai was very interesting because I got to meet the Dhoni fan, right? The guy who paints himself from head to toe in yellow and absolutely worships MS Dhoni. So meeting him and getting him, like literally peeling back the layers and getting him to talk about what made him a crazy fan like that. I can tell you one anecdote, one example from this book where this fellow has gotten married and his wife has given birth to their child. And they are in a government hospital in Chennai, and the child is maybe 3 years old. And he has messaged Dhoni's manager saying that, my wife gave birth to a child, please, whatever. I mean, I think he wanted to share the information. The manager happened to tell him that, Dhoni is actually in Chennai right now. He's in this hotel. So this guy abandons his wife. He abandons his newborn child. The child is 3 hours old. And he goes running to Dhoni. He's of course not in yellow paint at this point, but he's such a Dhoni fan. Dhoni's like a god to him, right? So he goes to the hotel, Dhoni comes down, he prostrates in front of Dhoni, holds his legs, and Dhoni's like, what are you doing, man? I mean, you're a new father now, why don't you go back to the hospital? And this fellow, Sarvanan Hari, he says, I will not go back to the hospital, I will not leave this place, I will not stop holding your feet till you name her. So quickly Dhoni had to think of a name and give him the name so that he leaves. So when you see this kind of fanaticism, it's very hard not to be judgmental, but as a journalist you can't be judgmental. But these are all great stories, right? And as I also wanted to tell you guys, like everybody is a story in a travelogue. The person you see in a cafe, the person you see on a train, the person you see standing outside a stadium, the person you meet on your way to the loo inside the stadium, everybody's a story. It's all about you keeping your eyes open, and because everybody really has a story to tell, no one's boring, right? It's about how you want to weave that person into your narrative. So, I mean, some of them are very obvious ones, like this yellow painted fan, super fan, because, they stand out. But even the ones who don't stand out make for great stories, I think, which is what, if you ever pick up this book, you'll see in it.
Okay. Last question before we go into the Q&As.
Sure.
In your line of profession, as a reporter, as an author, basically as a reporter, has there been at any point of time that you regretted reporting some stories or writing some, because you also work for a political
Yes.
open magazine. called Open Magazine, right?
Yeah.
So has there been at any point of time that you regretted?
Great question. So I don't regret the stories that I write, but some of them are really difficult to write. They sent me to Thailand to write about prostitution there. It's not easy meeting some of the sex workers and hearing their stories. And also, I was just telling Principal Ma'am before we started the session today about Kota. Have you guys heard of Kota, the place Kota? Yes, I can see a couple of you nodding. So Kota is basically this city in Rajasthan, which is known for its coaching institutes, the ones where they prepare you to get into IIT and JEE, which is the medical entrance test. And there's a lot of pressure from the parents to do well. And the year I went there in 2023, Kota was in the news because it had caused a lot of unfortunate incidents, a lot of suicides. So I went there to report on the place, and when I met students just like you guys, it was very difficult. I mean, the students, they were a little shy to open up, a little scared to open up, because the topic was, of course, depression, and which we should be speaking about openly. If anyone is suffering, you're not alone. Everyone's with you. It's not a taboo, right? Which a lot of students in Kota are finding out now because of all the unfortunate incidents. So writing that story was very difficult. It broke me. I mean, every time I would speak to the kids, and they took a while to open up because I am from the age of their teachers. So they thought I was one of them first, and they realized I'm just like them. I mean, I have no airs, no hang-ups. And I'm willing to tell the story from their perspective, from the student perspective, right? Because if I wasn't doing that, I wouldn't be doing justice to such a grave story. So, which of course the teachers and the police and the politicians didn't like, but the students did. They liked the story because someone was finally speaking for them. So, I don't regret that story. I liked writing the story, but it was a terribly difficult story to write because every time I, used to go through my notes or see something that a student said, it's hard not to well up. It's very different from writing about sports and Neymar and Messi and Virat Kohli. Prostitution in Thailand.
It's about real life.
Yeah, Jaffna, the Tamil civilians of Jaffna, 10 years after the civil war ended, a lot of them are crying most of the time, so that's not fun. But these are the stories that are enriching, the ones that you want to write or cover as a journalist. These are the ones that you really want to do. Sports and stuff like that, great. It's fun, it can get you places. But again, I keep coming back to this. That's why I use sports to actually tell the story of real India in this book.
Wow, great. And now we'll have time for Q&As, and if any of the students would want to, ask or make further statements on what our author, Mr. Aditya Aier, has spoken about, his experiences and his book, the floor is open to you.
Anyone? The mic will come around. Oh, cool. Don't be shy, guys. Go for it.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
It's very nice.
Do you want this one? Sorry, why don't you come closer here?
Hello, sir.
Hi.
It's very nice to meet you. Sir, it has been mentioned that in this book, you talk about...
Brother, why don't you come here? Because then you'll move away from one of those speakers. Thanks,
So it has been mentioned that in your book, Gully Gully, you talk about football. And I guess most of us here, we are football fans.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned that football is not a very respected sports here in India as compared to the Western countries.
Yeah.
So my question is, with the rise of ISL and other grassroots initiative, do you see a change or a shift in how football is perceived here in India?
Fantastic question, man. So yeah, that's the hope, right? That's exactly why the ISL happened, to grow the sport in this country. It's definitely grown in the metropolitans now, and of course in the traditional hubs such as here. Aizawl won it recently. Kerala Blasters is doing really well. I mean, but like these are Kerala and West Bengal and here in the Northeast. You guys and them, they anyway watched it, right? The idea was to grow football in places like Ranchi, no? I mean, which is so obsessed with cricket. Or even, let's find Nagpur, right? Like, are these places taking to football the way you guys have already taken to football? I would say the ISL is not making much of an impact. It's the sense that I get as a journalist. It's really grown in the metropolitans also because of La Liga and the Premier League, and you see all these boys and girls walking around in jerseys, Arpin written at the back or whatever, right? But in the metros, yes. In the traditional hubs, yes. Is it growing in some of the smaller towns? I don't think so. Again, unfortunately, because all the attention is on cricket, right? Like, if a cricket match comes to Nagpur, to the Vidarbha Cricket Association Stadium, there are going to be 100,000 people standing outside trying to get tickets. But if like Chetri's side, I know he's retired now, but like if the Indian football team reaches there, will it even sell out a 20,000 seater or 15,000 seater? Because that's when you judge how big a sport has become in the country, right? Like when the fans go crazy, when there's like crazy demand, and even though there's enough supply, there will always be more demand. Like in cricket, look at the way all the traditional centers treat their fans, right? They lathi charge them, they strip them of their dignity, they don't allow them to take their water inside, they take coins away, they confiscate everything. The toilets are not working properly in any of the stadiums, yet the fans keep going back in hundreds of thousands. Every ticket is so valuable. Is football there? It is there in the rest of the world. In India, that grip, the grip that cricket has over the people is still unmatched, right? So maybe at some point, like football will even the scales. But even now, the ones in Bombay or Delhi or you tell me, here in Dimapur, are there enough fans of the Indian team, or are you a fan of Chelsea or Manchester United or whatever, big clubs? What is it? What is it more of?
So the Chelsea's and
That's right. So you answered your own question in that sense, right? So football's growing, but we still need Haaland and Gundogan to do really well, or like the new kids like Foden. Who's the Foden of India? Where's that guy? Why aren't we wearing his t-shirt? But we're wearing Arshdeep Singh t-shirts, right? Like he's 21 years old, he won India World Cup in T20 cricket. Already people are wearing his t-shirts. So that's a great parameter to judge where the sport is in our country. You guys are very lucky to be in the traditional hub of football. But if you ever travel, why don't you see what it's like anywhere else? Go to Tamil Nadu and see what it's like over there. Go to Andhra or Orissa and see what it's like over there. It may not be the same. Anyone else, guys? Hi. Could you just pass the mic to the friend in the back?
Check. Thank you so much, sir.
Hi.
Check. Thank you so much, sir. Once again, I'm a journalist student. So, as a journalist student, I would like to ask one question. That is, why the Indian football players are not getting chance to play in international club? And I heard about it that for example, if the Indian players want to play in European club, then they have to take the citizenship in European. Alright. Then, and I heard that the Indian government did not allow to take any citizen in other country. So like Ronaldo and Messi, they play. They are from actually Ronaldo. He's from the Portugal, but he played in Spain, European Cup, right?
And England and in Italy,
Yeah.
he played all over the place. But they allowed dual citizenship, right? I don't know if dual citizenship is actually the problem because we do have Indian players who've gone and played abroad. Chetri did it. I think Bhutia also, I think he had like a session with Berry and with Aston Villa in England. They didn't pick him. But the idea is if you're good enough, then you will get a work permit to play there. I don't think a lot of people take dual citizenships. Maybe Ronaldo's done it, I don't know. But he also, when he was playing for Sporting Lisbon, Alex Ferguson found him and he came to Manchester United. I don't think he became a citizen of the UK or anything like that. It's just, why don't you tell me, talent? I mean, are we at a place where we're good enough and commanding enough to knock on the doors of Serie A and La Liga and Bundesliga? I'm honestly asking you, I don't know.
That was my question. That why the Indian players are not getting some opportunities?
I think the opportunities are there for anyone who is kind of at that level. Maybe we aren't just yet, right? Because how many people do you know who have been picked up from the ISL, from the winning club of the previous season or the one before that, to the West, to the big football nations in either Europe or South America? I haven't heard of too many, but I do. Gurpreet Sandhu, was that his name? The goalkeeper who got picked in the Belgian club, he was the goalkeeper at that point. There are the odd cases, but they're not in clubs large enough to make an impact. We won't be wearing those jerseys over here, right? So it's possibly talent. It's why else in this day and age of social media and things going up on uploads on Instagram or X, immediately the scouts will see the talent if it exists, right? And I'm sure we're getting there, but perhaps we're not there yet.
Thank you so much, sir. That's
No
the question.
problem. Yeah. How many journalism students are here? If you guys can raise your hands. Or is he the only one? Okay, hi, nice. All right. Yeah. I think we're good. Okay.
Hi, sir.
Hi.
Okay. What's the best advice you have received as a writer? What's the best advice you have received?
Difficult one, I suppose. Don't shy away from the truth, I suppose. That would be the one, because it's very easy in this day and age to write glorious things about Indian cricket. It kind of comes down from our political system where everything has to be built up into something amazing, something brilliant, even when it's not. For example, there was a stampede day before yesterday at the railway station in New Delhi, and journalists today are afraid of taking the word stampede because their political masters won't like it, and all the organizations are now kind of leaning towards, we know which party we're talking about, and they put the pressure to not report anything bad about them at all so that they can just look amazing all the time. So everyone's really scared. So even when I wrote this book, there was a match in Ahmedabad, for those who are unaware, which is between India and Pakistan. And there were no visas given to the Pakistanis, to the fans coming here. This is an international event, mind you. It's a World Cup, right? India's playing Pakistan and there are no Pakistanis in the stands. not just that, the organizers, ICC in this case, the cricket organizers, are playing only India's music for every 4 and 6. Every time the Pakistanis hit a 4 or a 6 or get a wicket, there's silence, there's nothing even on the speakers. So when I wrote about it, even my publishing house was like, can you tone it down a bit? And I said, no, I'm not going to tone it down, right? Like, they said, what if you get sued? I was like, then I get sued, let's see what happens. So I think it's, in this country, I suppose now, we just have to be a little brave because there's too much pressure to say things in a certain way, the way the big guys, the politicians like it, or administrators like it. But stand your ground, I suppose. Speak the truth.
Time for one last question. Yeah.
Hi. Can someone get the mic to the girl up there? Thanks.
From your perspective as a journalist, considering the current climate in the world, not only in India,
Yeah.
would you say that free speech still exists despite its restrictions?
It absolutely does. I mean, there are still some very brave journalists out there who are doing fantastic work on the ground, all over India and all over the world. These are the guys who are speaking truth to power, right? And if not for them, if journalism dies, right, like the journalism the way we know it dies, then there is very little hope on really speaking truth to power and showing the politicians that, hey, that we can still cut you to size by reporting the truth, because then they universally take power. So it's young kids such as all of you guys over here today, not just through journalism. I mean, you can do it in so many different ways, right? Which is to stand your ground and to basically get what you deserve, and not let the political climate, as you very rightly said it right now, dictate how you live your life. Journalism is just a reflection of society itself. So yes, I don't think free speech is dead. I mean, the fact that we're all having this discussion here right now tells you that it's not. But more importantly, the ones who are doing the really tough work, journalists are being threatened and killed every other day. Gully Gully, it happened to her in Karnataka a few years ago, the big case. These are all people who have put their lives on the line to kind of like speak the truth so that all of us can have good lives. So yes, I don't think it's dead, but there's a threat that it's being crushed and oppressed. But when has there not been oppression? There's just a different sort of form of it. Thanks for coming for this session, guys. I'll be sitting right outside. Come and say hi. There are a few books. If you want to buy it, I'll sign it for you. We can talk. If you don't want to buy it also, it's okay. You can come and say hi to me. Let's have a chat. I'm right outside. Is that right, Principal Man? At the reception. I'm at the reception, right? Come. Anyway, thank you. Thank you for coming and listening to me. This was a lot of fun. Thanks, guys. Thank you.